So take us back, because I love your story. And this is what we often, when we counsel and coach people who are just starting out on Amazon, that you want to bootstrap. I love the hustle that you put into it early on. So you're at a corporate job, you're doing a phenomenal job for them, but in your downtime or not downtime, at lunchtime, in the morning, just run us through your schedule real quick, because I want people to get an idea. Just like any business, even if it's a part-time business, you still got to hustle, you got to work, you got to put time in. Give us what your schedule was.
So, I was a pretty big deal. So, I mean, I did have a corporate job. So, I had a lot of responsibility, but I had nights, weekends off, or early. I'm up early, really early, right? If you message me at 4 this morning, I was awake. I was in the gym at 5 this morning. I was home by 6, literally. And so for me, the downtime, I was able to do things. So I would, I was selling on Amazon. I'd process in the morning before work. I'd go out at lunchtime. I'd make appointments. Back then, I run an ad in the newspaper. This was my best deal. This is where, and I always explain to people, the best place to buy things is in a private sale. You invite me into your home. I'll be able to see the things that are of value. I'll put them in a pile. We'll negotiate on price. I'll make it win-win. Sometimes I pay more than what they ask because I just say, no, it's worth more than that. But I get the cherry pick. That's the best way to buy. When you can get into somebody's house and be polite and respectful, and you can cherry pick those items, you're going to get the best price. Next place to go is auctions. You go to an auction, you can buy scale. I mean, I bought truckloads of stuff, big boxes of stuff. And then you can go to the flea market or yard sales, then a flea market, whatever. But you're chasing. So I used to run an ad in the newspaper saying, buy in books. Everybody has books. Now, this was back when I used to sell a lot of books on Amazon, way back in the day. But I would run that ad and I'd get a zillion people because all old people have books. And then I'd say, well, I also, just like American Pickers, I had a sheet of paper that would tell you, hey, I buy toys, I buy this and that. They'd bring out their kids' Nintendo systems, their video games, their G.I. Joe collection, their Legos and all that junk. And I bought it all. I mean, I literally would pile it up and I just buy it all. I knew what I was buying. And the mistake everybody makes is you buy it and then you're supposed to list it. And I didn't list it. And then I had somebody one time say, Steve, you're bringing around these pallets like an old girlfriend. You're dragging them around. You got to get rid of them. And it's true. But now that I have a team that can process it, I'm sitting back and saying, I don't look so stupid, do I? And so again, right now, if I'll buy an eBay buy, but it's going to be less than 10 cents on the dollar, period. But about 8 cents is my preferable. If I know what it's going to sell for, I'm trying to buy it for 8 cents on the dollar. There is zero risk when you're buying it at that level. The key is you have to have a process to process it. That, I think, and you've been in the warehouse a gazillion times, that I probably have done really well with and do better than most.
Yeah. So just to recap, folks that are listening, because a lot of times, the biggest pushback that I get when I ask people, hey, people that want to make extra income, what they say is they don't have the time. But, what you just displayed is you would get up at 4 a.m. You would go into your warehouse before you went to your corporate job. You would get things done. And then at lunchtime, I remember you telling me that there were times where you would box things up and ship them, within that half hour. And so, if you're listening to this and you have a full-time job and you have a family, just like Steve had, there are ways that you can do it. I started very similar, Steve. I had a full-time job. And, you and I both tell people, look, don't go into debt to build a business, right? You bootstrap, you snowball all the profit back in. And I think that's what you did as well. You kind of had a no debt policy and you were able to acquire this inventory, pennies on the dollar, in your spare time that you carved out. And now you were able to build a great business. So let's fast forward, Steve. Last year, you did a little over 3 million, I believe.
Yeah, 3.2 million. Yep.
3.2 million on Amazon.
Well, it's Amazon warehouse and eBay. So there are some foundational things that I like to describe.
Yep. And just to let folks in on too, you really kind of have multiple streams of income. So Steve has actually been working with us, with Nate and I, on our brand since it began. And he is the 3PL service. So he has an amazing team that he has managed for the past 3 years. And then recently, in the last 4 or 5 months, Steve has partnered and he's joined with us now in building out our brand. So again, what I love about what you did there is you spread out, all your eggs weren't in one basket. And I think, again, that's a genius way to do it for folks that are listening, that are just starting to sell on Amazon. There are a lot of different ways, right, that you can make money on Amazon.
I think, figuring out your foundation, figuring out what your strengths are. I'm not, and you can believe what you will. I know myself really well. I'm a great number two. I'm a great number two. I'm the guy you're going to bring in when you got a problem and you're like, hey, we need to fix this. I can fix it. Or, and I think I've proven that to you guys. It's for me, I just can't cast a vision for others to see. That's where I struggle, where somebody like a Nate or you guys you have a gift on that. That's just not my strength. I know it, but that doesn't mean I can't add value. I always love when Gary Vee talks about the 10th guy at Facebook still is a multi-hundred millionaire, right? But that doesn't mean he wasn't successful. So for me, I sit back and I say, what are my strengths? Well, I have an accounting degree, I have an MBA, I have skills, I've processed, I've run through operations, I've run all that stuff. So I take that same approach to my business. If you're in sales, you have the gift of gab, right? So you can talk to store manager, you can negotiate. Every store is negotiable, right? Negotiable, I guess that's the right word. So if you have a sales background, that's your gift. You can apply that in this business and you'll have a competitive advantage over me. Or if you have a logistics background, that would be another great thing. Or you're just a hard worker and you're willing to put in the time or study, and put in the time. It's funny, I think back to the thousands of hours of YouTube I'd sit there and watch. I still watch, for some reason, I like watching these guys pull eBay items and ship them and they find value. And then I remember, wait, I have those in my warehouse. So when they're pulling them out, the team's pulling them out. I'm like, hey, those are special. Pay attention to this. Or I'll go and find them. I'll be like, hey, here's the way you handle this. And so continuous learning. So if you have that gift, you will have a competitive advantage because most people are lazy. And so if you're willing to do the work, I think you can be successful regardless. However, if you go in there and you have to, I love the guy who says, I have to make $100,000. Can I do it on Amazon? I've got $2,000. No, please don't. Jeez, don't go get a job. Do something else, right? This is not the place to do that. If you want to build a lifestyle business, we're pretty fortunate. My wife and I, we're in the grandkids stage. Both of my boys are married. I have my one son has three granddaughters. My younger one, who's gotten married recently, not yet, maybe someday. But we're in that phase where I can travel and spend time with them, and that's what's so important to us. But we've designed that life. It comes at the cost of other things. I'm never going to be the biggest seller. Okay, I'm fine with it. Or I'm going to work with you guys, and I'm cool with it. So to me, being comfortable there, but figuring that out, I think most people, if they're honest with themselves and stop comparing themselves to me or to you or to anybody else and sit back and say, hey, take stock in yourself, say, here's what I'm good at. How can I apply this in this business? And if it's like me working for someone else, I actually have another job. I'm back in the employee world, but I love it because they think I'm a wizard. And I just this is what I used to do. This was what I did. And to me, that's so cool to find that place in your life. And again, that's recent, but it's just neat to see how your life leads you to that place. And you too can do the same.